Oh my goodness, you thought that the relationship between Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones was all hip-hop and love. Hold on tight, because the latest drama on the internet is spooky. According to multiple reports, Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin got into a terrifying public fight, and the facts are so bizarre that witnesses say people swiftly went from bad to worse. And let's not even discuss Jim's reputation, which is barely hanging on. It started with what seemed to be a simple argument, but things took a terrible turn when Jim lost all control. According to sources, it's worse than you think, honey, and the audience was shocked. Chrissy was frightened, and social media is in a complete meltdown. Did Jim Jones really go too far this time? People want to know what triggered his violent outburst, but more importantly, who is the mysterious person at the center of this drama? Insiders are leaking information that could ruin Jim's entire career, making fans split and celebrities talk. Get your popcorn ready, because this controversy is just getting started. If you thought Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's relationship was messy before, watch out, because this is the most recent scandal, and even producers of love and hip-hop are probably desperately trying to find a way to hide it because it is so crazy. When Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones appeared together at a private gathering last Saturday night, holding hands and smiling as if everything was fine, fans were shocked because Jim and Chrissy's relationship has been tumultuous for years. In the details, they are messy, baby. Has stood by Jim in spite of his involvement in dubious business dealings, financial difficulties, and suspicions of cheating. One moment they are engaged, the next they are taking a vacation. But this time, Chrissy may have had enough, honey. According to witnesses, when things escalated, Jim and Chrissy were sitting in the VIP section. Jim had apparently been drinking a little too much at a fancy club in New York City, which is not unusual for him, let's face it. However, this time it struck in a different way, according to a club source. Chrissy kept trying to calm Jim down, but he was not having any of it. Jim was acting strangely all night long, pacing back and forth and looking angry before BM. It happened, according to reports, when Jim got a text message. What did he see that set him off? According to witnesses, things got heated when Chrissy leaned over to ask questions. Jim then started to swear and yanked his phone away from Chrissy, refusing to let it go even though she made an effort to remain calm because, as you are well aware, Jim became agitated and started pointing at her while raising his voice, which is when people started to notice them even though the music was still playing. Chrissy repeatedly said, "Calm down, Jim, not here." Then, according to one witness, things really started to get out of control. Jim jumped up and walked directly into Chrissy's face, seemingly reaching for her arm, but Chrissy shoved him away and yelled, "Do not do it, Jim." Nevertheless, Jim reportedly did it, my dear. Attempting to pull Chrissy from the booth by grabbing her arm, the entire club froze. When Chrissy yelled, "Let go of me," and wrenched her arm away, an unidentified person connected to the couple stepped in to break them up. According to sources, Jim has been good friends with this unidentified man for years, but how did he jump in? He merely gave the idea that he was more worried about keeping Chrissy safe than Jim. According to a witness who described the incident, Jim shoved the man away and urged him to stay out of it. Chrissy was quivering, her cheeks reddened, and it was clear she was fighting to hold back her tears. Security had to step in at this point. Jim gave the mystery man a final shove and said, "You do not know what the asterisk you are talking about," as security dragged. When he left the club, Chrissy also stayed behind and appeared eerie, according to one source. She sat down and put her head in her hands, and people came up to ask how she was doing, but she stayed silent and just sat there. This is when things get even messier, according to those who know the situation. Jim Stray has been accused for years, but Chrissy has always defended him. The matter that was making Jim angry is awful, darling. There are rumors that a mysterious woman, whom Chrissy believes Jim has been playing with for months, was sending Jim a lot of messages on his phone. When Chrissy found the messages on Jim's phone, social media jumped on this right away. Jim was out in Miami with an unnamed woman, but this time she saw the evidence firsthand, according to someone close to Chrissy. He knew he was caught, but instead of admitting it, he reacted angrily. When Jim and Chrissy left the club, a club member recorded the entire altercation on camera and posted it to TikTok with the caption, "Jim Jones is over." He went out on Chrissy in the club. What about the comments? They were candid, telling the truth. Chrissy needs to leave. Jim, are you out here now making Chrissy look bad again? If she stays with him at this point, she is playing herself. What is the most ridiculous part of the incident? Neither Chrissy nor Jim has said a word, and Jim's Instagram account is silent, but you are all aware that words don't have the same power. The unnamed man who defended Chrissy may not even be a friend, honey, according to sources. He has been with Chrissy for a while, and let's just say that some people are starting to wonder if Chrissy has moved on by now. As silence, this is where it gets even more interesting. Couple Jim is aware that Chrissy has been relying on him for emotional support, and they have been at odds for months. Jim's public outburst with Chrissy is a sign of fear, not just rage, that Chrissy may permanently end their relationship. The real question now is what will happen next, because from what I've heard, a close friend of Chrissy claims that this time she won't back down and that this could be the final straw for her. She is worn out and has had enough of Jim too, and he is in damage control mode. I've heard that he has already gotten in touch with some of his industry contacts to try to conceal the news, but there is no. Taking a step back now that the video is widely known, let me explain the ramifications of this scandal. It will completely upend the hip-hop and romantic worlds because if Chrissy leaves for good and the rumors about this enigmatic man are true, Jim risks losing everything, including his relationship. The consequences of Jim Jones' angry outburst are far worse than we expected. Fans are taking sides, the internet is in ruins, and let me tell you, Chrissy's current movement is going to get even messier. If you thought the first part was messy, you're in for a lot more, honey. When Jim tried to drag Chrissy out of the booth in front of a packed room, security removed him from the club. Chrissy sat there stunned, embarrassed, and humiliated. Did you allow us to talk about what happened next? It looks like Jim might have just made a mistake with the woman and the luggage. Where do we end up? However, since that is where the real drama starts, honey, let's now analyze what we now know in addition to Chrissy's response. Those texts were the reason Jim lost his temper, according to people close to the couple. By close, I mean close. You see, Jim had been texting an unnamed woman for months, according to a very trustworthy source. According to a source, Jim repeatedly denied Chrissy's suspicions for a while, but when those messages showed up on his phone, Chrissy did see them, and they were nasty. This isn't just some casual side chick affair, and we're talking about serious conversations, flirtatious messages, and outright emotional betrayal here. We're talking about late-night texts like, "I miss you. When will you be coming to visit me?" Chrissy is not required to know. Is it okay with you? And what's the worst? According to sources, this enigmatic woman is not just any woman. She apparently has a connection to someone in the industry. Yes, this is going to grow into a full-fledged industry. Chrissy had no intention of talking about the scandal. She was reportedly trying to handle it privately. However, according to someone close to Chrissy, Jim's response was what really opened the door. At first, Chrissy remained calm and tried to act like an adult, but she realized Jim was guilty when he started to rant and act irrationally. And you know that Jim has previously been linked to cheating rumors? Do you all remember Jim's 2019 Miami sighting with that Instagram model? When Chrissy went live, she basically told everyone to shut up. Yes, she isn't playing that game this time. When did the video go viral on social media? The internet went crazy, baby. Buzzing with hashtags like #protectracy and #JimJones, exposed by the time the video was posted on blogs. What about the harsh comments? Chrissy needs to break up with him permanently. How do you treat the woman who held you down like we did, Jim? It's embarrassing. Chrissy needs to see him for who he really is. What about the well-known people they started? Cardi B took to Twitter to share that some of you don't deserve the women you have, man. Sene added by Tamar Braxton, I would have handled that situation very differently, so Chrissy is better than me. The comments kept coming in, and even Remy Ma, who usually stays away from drama like this, liked the tweet that said, Chrissy deserves better. Jim has been behaving oddly for years. Additionally, as you are well aware, social media detectives never take a vacation. Jim's admirers looked into his social media activity right away, and guess what they found? Jim hasn't been acting like a faithful man. For example, screenshots show Jim liking and commenting on pictures of a certain woman, and you can probably guess who she was. Yes, the same woman who may have sent those messages. In addition, they found that Jim had been making fun of her in a recent direct message, calling her attractive and using heart eye emojis as though he wasn't already interested. One fan shared the screenshots and wrote, he had just been caught by Chrissy acting carelessly. Jim is not helping himself, honey, as he decided to post this enigmatic comment on Instagram instead of being silent and letting the tension ease. Half of it is unknown to you all. Is that okay, Jim? What specifically do we not understand? However, the real shocker occurred when the unnamed man who broke up the fight spoke up. Do you remember our discussion about the man who stepped in between Jim and Chrissy? He is obviously far more knowledgeable than he claims to be. He has reportedly been close to Chrissy for years and has seen Jim's. The anonymous man has been telling Chrissy for years that Jim is not the right man for her, but she was not ready to hear it. Now he seems to be taking on a lot of duties because Chrissy reportedly heard the mystery man say, following the incident, you don't deserve this, you deserve better. Chrissy's subsequent manner of glancing at him was, there's definitely something there, honey. One source with knowledge of the situation claims that there is a connection between Chrissy and this man. Notwithstanding, she does not frequently switch between relationships, and Jim is not happy about it either. According to an insider, Jim confronted the unnamed person after the incident and things became heated. Jim yelled at him to back off and act like that. The mystery man said, now the question is, Chrissy may have needed that wake-up call because, from what I've heard, she's finally starting to pay attention to those around her, including the fact that this unnamed man stepped in when Jim was misbehaving. Jim is spiraling out of control, and when he is out drinking, he looks messy and miserable. Chrissy is really done with Jim for good. In New York, he has been making repeated attempts to apologize by calling Chrissy, but she is not returning his calls. What is the most ridiculous part? Rumor has it that Chrissy has already started talking to her lawyer. If this is true, then Jim might lose both Chrissy and his money because guess what? James' business. The problem is that Chrissy hasn't voiced her opinions yet. She hasn't posted anything on social media, which is why it speaks louder than anything she could say. Nevertheless, the fact that she is already talking to her lawyer confirms this. Other transactions include the house they live in bearing Chrissy's name. If Chrissy leaves, Jim might not have anywhere to go, honey. The consequences of Jim's current precarious situation are going to get even more complicated, honey. What if Chrissy files a lawsuit and the unnamed woman comes forward? Jim's career and reputation could be permanently damaged. Trust me, you are not ready for what is about to happen, so hold on tight because, in part, now that it is worse than anyone could have predicted, Jim's career, reputation, and even his love are all on the verge of collapse. If you thought part 2 was crazy due to the fallout from Jim Jones' outburst, wait until you hear what happened next, honey. She's moving right now, honey, and Jim might have finally pushed her too far, to put it mildly. Where do we end up? After being exposed for sending those questionable texts and fighting with Chrissy in public at the club, Jim was in a downward spiral. The unidentified man had already stepped in to keep Chrissy safe, but he didn't take it. Well, honey, let's talk about what happened next because, trust me, it's more complicated than you might think. Apparently, Jim wasn't just angry after that encounter. He was furious. A trustworthy source revealed that Jim left the club immediately and went straight to a nearby motel, and boy, Was he not alone? Let's face it, they weren't exactly trying to hide it, and Jim left with someone who wasn't Chrissy. Is that okay with you? Several sources said that Jim left the club with a woman who looked a lot like the person he had been texting, and the receipts add up. But I'm not saying it was the mystery woman. The following morning photos show Jim and this unnamed woman leaving the hotel, confirming that someone managed to get it on camera. The source claims that Jim left holding hands with her, not even trying to be subtle about it, and that Chrissy had not even left the club yet. Were going viral on social media, and everyone had a story, whether it came from TMZ, The Shade Room, or Hollywood Unlocked. One fan captioned the picture after it was posted, saying that Jim couldn't wait a day to make Chrissy look stupid again. What about the hateful comments? My dear, Chrissy should cut Jim off permanently since he has been. Garbage Jim isn't even attempting to hide it anymore. Chrissy deserves better. How can you cheat and then have the gall to lose? Oh my goodness, it got worse right when you thought it couldn't get any worse. See, the anonymous woman went live on Instagram, posting while sipping wine, and seemed completely unconcerned when remarks started to come in asking whether she was the person Jim left with. She smirked before saying, "I am not the one who made promises. That is his problem. Therefore, you guys should mind your own business. Is it all right with you that you are telling me that this woman is laughing about Jim's rude behavior toward Chrissy, even though she is aware of it?" Jim, too, made things worse by posting a picture of himself on Instagram the next day with the following caption. Instead of denying it or apologizing, Jim did not apologize. "I swear, I almost threw my phone across the room." The room must have caught Chrissy's attention as well, because a few hours later, she posted the following enigmatic comment on her Instagram story. "Believe them when they tell you that they are a baby, but let me tell you, it didn't stop there. The unidentified man, had no intention of letting Jim E.T. get away with this." The enigmatic man who contacted Chrissy after Jim's small prank stated, "You do not have to deal with this anymore." Chrissy clearly listened because, as you can imagine, she went to her lawyer and said, "Honey, sure, Chrissy was seen outside the New York City office of we are dealing with a well-known attorney who is among the most vicious divorce attorneys in the business. So this is not just any attorney," according to one source. After years of keeping Jim in check, Chrissy is done playing games this time. What about the rumors that are going crazy? I see insiders say that Chrissy wants to take everything with her. Just go away because Chrissy's name is on some of Jim's most valuable assets, such as the house, businesses, and endorsement deals. If Chrissy filed for divorce, Jim might lose everything, my dear. An insider told him the truth when he had nothing and Chrissy was there for him. Now that he has something, she deserves half of it. Jim is also conscious of his error, as he allegedly began blowing up Chrissy's phone after finding out that she had met with her lawyer. According to someone close to Chrissy, Jim has continued to call, text, and leave voicemails, and he even went to her apartment in person, but Chrissy wouldn't open the door. The craziest part was that Jim even attempted to persuade his own mother, Mama Jones, to talk to Chrissy. According to one account, "I told Chrissy, I love you, but I can't keep doing this," when Jim's mother called and basically begged her to improve things. Meanwhile, the internet is on Team Christmas Honey, and Chrissy is deserving of. Nicki Minaj responded to a post by saying, "Jim has been acting like himself. Chrissy has been loyal. Who else jumped in?" You ask on her Instagram story. This is how Jim pays her back for keeping him down when no one else did. It would be wise for Chrissy to take him for everything. Never play with a woman who has been holding you down from the start. The issue is that Jim is already experiencing negative effects from his career, which goes beyond personal criticism. Rumor has it that Jim was negotiating a new reality TV deal with a major network, but the deal is on hold because of this controversy. Hold on, according to a network insider, they don't want the blowback because advertisers are already leaving because Jim's name is too shady right now. What about his business, which is failing too, honey? It looks like Jim is already pulling out of one of his biggest endorsement deals, which is for sneakers and is worth over 6 figures. Attested to this, the brand is considering ending the contract because they don't want to be associated with this kind of controversy. The question now is, how does Jim bounce back from this? From what I understand, Chrissy is currently in total control. The receipts are with her, the public is behind her, and she has the upper hand in court. What happens if Chrissy decides to take this matter all the way to court? Jim might lose his job, his money, his reputation, and even his love. What's even more ridiculous is that Chrissy hasn't said a single word yet, and according to someone close to her, she is letting Jim hang himself right now because she knows that Jim is still acting carelessly out here. Last night, you can guess who he was with, the same mysterious woman, so anything he says would only make him look worse. The question now is not whether Chrissy will leave him, but rather how much Jim will regret it if she does. As you already know, I will be back with every update, so trust me when I say that this story is far from over. The only question now is whether Jim Jones will survive these consequences, or if this is the beginning of Jim and Chrissy's demise. And when does Chrissy make contact, honey? If Chrissy leaves Jim after years of supporting, protecting, and holding him down, will their relationship really end? What will happen to Jim if she does? Let's face it, Jim's reputation and career might not last this time around without Chrissy. But what about the real tea? Chrissy is still silent and quiet. It's louder than anything she could say, honey. If Chrissy leaves and files those lawsuits, Jim could lose not only his relationship but also his money, his house, and his professional reputation. He also appears to be trying to kill himself because he continues to act recklessly while wearing the unnamed woman's arm. Regarding the supporters, they have already taken sides. I can see that social media is completely behind Chrissy, and if she decides to sue Jim, you can be sure that everyone will be watching. But what about the unnamed man? Is that a true story about him, or is he just a friend? The question now is, will Chrissy say nothing or will she speak up? If you are more of a supporter of Chrissy or Jim, share your thoughts in the comments section below. Should Chrissy forgive Jim, or should she allow him to fail? Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. This drama is far from over. Hold on, my love, for I promise you will want to be the first to know when this story's next episode is out, because this story has just begun.